Pickle, let's go to the hotline. And let's bring in the Hall of Famer. You know him from The Horn in Austin. You know him as the voice of the Texas Longhorns. And you know him from High School
TUESWAYS.
Scoreboard Live on Bally Sports Southwest. He is our good friend, Craig Way. Craig, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, Tep. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. No complaints here. No complaints. And I imagine that things are... Last week I asked you about the smoldering wreckage of Austin in the wake of Texas's loss to Arkansas. I imagine that those buildings have been rebuilt and that everything is hunky-dory after taking care of business against Rice.
Oh, yeah. All is well again, at least for another, 72 hours.
Yeah.
And then you see where it goes from there. But, yeah, everybody is happy and onward and upward.
Yes. No. Yeah. Exactly. No notes from Texas on Friday night. Okay, or Saturday rather. So let's talk a little bit about last week with the Texas high school football world, and I think a good place to start is probably what happened in DeSoto with Duncanville's win over DeSoto. Obviously, an important win for Duncanville. But also, of course, Reginald Samples becomes the 13th member of the 300 Club in Texas high school football. You are a Texas high school football historian in many respects. I guess for folks who may not realize, can you put into context just how impressive and maybe how, I don't want to say unexpected because we know Coach Samples is a darn good coach, but how remarkable it is for somebody like Reginald Samples to reach the 300 win plateau.
Yeah, I think that's the proper word, remarkable, especially given the fact that it took decades before African-American kids could play on the same varsity high school football teams. You had, but in the days before desegregation, it was an integration. You had obviously some great historic accomplishments from schools and from coaches in the old Prairie View Interscholastic League. And I know you've researched those files extensively as well. And we've seen some of the great hallmark coaches who toiled in that era be able to post some numbers. But once the integration period entered into our lives and into 20th century, latter 20th century Texas high school football, then it became a question of opportunities. And, other than historically black intercity high schools that were integrated via the UIL, would coaches get those opportunities? And Reginald Samples toiled, as many did in those days, with what he built at Lincoln High School and got him to within a heartbeat of a state championship there, and then went to Skyline, which originally, when the school opened in the early 70s, was mainly suburban and to some extent a little bit affluent eastern side of Dallas, largely white populated suburban high school. That changed, the numbers changed with that, but what he did there was tremendous to build that into a state title contender. And then Duncanville, for him to build what had been a proud program under Dan Gandy, and then Bob Alpert won a state championship in 1998, and then it fell off for a long time, and nobody could really resurrect that. He went in and did what a lot of coaches do to build programs. He walked the hallways, he and his staff, and they got kids to come out, because Duncanville, as we know, is a large population number school, but that doesn't necessarily always translate into kids who are willing to play football. He made it cool for people to play football and play it at a high level. And I think this is even more impactful about Reginald Samples' time as a coach. And I thought your partner on Football Friday, Aaron Hardigan, really laid it out very well in the extensive piece she did with him, is what he did with his coaching tree, what he did to help other young African-American head coaches get opportunities to be head coaches, and not just in the throwaway jobs, so to speak, and jobs that really mattered. And they all spoke eloquently about it, about what he did for them. And I think that is as impactful as about anything else he did, because it was able to spread the gospel then of guys who really and truly are gifted at coaching, who might not otherwise have gotten an opportunity as quickly as his status impacted their potential opportunities. So I think he reaches the game in so many ways. And I know it makes sense for folks to say the only other thing that's missing is the state championship. That's true. But you know what? It's the only thing missing from the Phil Danaher resume, and he's the all-time winningest coach in Texas high school football. It doesn't always happen, or certainly doesn't always happen in the time frame that a lot of folks wish and hope it to be. And I think, by the way, both have opportunities this year to still win that elusive state championship. If you're in the conversation and you have your team in the running year after year, sometimes it's not your best team that wins it. It might be the other. So both of those guys, I think, have an opportunity this year, albeit both of them in very crowded fields.
All right, Craig, we're now into week 5 of the Texas high school football season, and we're probably approaching no fluky undefeated teams season. Like we're rapidly getting there. And so I guess my question for you is, of the teams that presently are undefeated, teams that are that haven't taken a loss quite yet, is there a team that stands out to you as a bit of a, I don't want to say surprise, but one that certainly caught your eye as saying, wow, okay, I think that perhaps this team has very clearly taken a step forward to be there at 4-0, one that you didn't necessarily see coming? Is there an undefeated team that really strikes you immediately?
There's a couple that come to mind at the 6A level. And it's not necessarily that I didn't think they couldn't be good and have an opportunity to be really good. It's where I think I'd like to see a little bit more just to make sure that they really are, as good as they possibly could be. Katie Tompkins is one of those. That's one of the ones that I think. And then maybe you could also make that say that I don't know if it's an argument, but you wonder a little bit about Cibolo Steel only because of where they are and who they played so far. Clear Falls might be another one that you could look at. And then how about the Fighting Farmers of Louisville? My first ever regular season play-by-play gig was calling Louisville Fighting Farmers football when I was at North Texas back in the day. And the Maroon and Whites, to be off to that 3-0 start is impressive.
All right, Craig, we have a question here from one of our viewers. Jacob John wants your opinion on which is the better San Antonio area game. Would you rather go to Smithson Valley at New Braunfels or Brandeis at Johnson?
Ooh, wow.
That's a tough one.
That's a Sophie's choice, yeah.
It might be Brandeis Johnson only to get an even better look at Johnson. But having said that, New Braunfels obviously attracted all the attention with what they did in the win over Judson last week, and I've been on board with Smithson Valley, thinking that they're somebody to keep an eye on this year. So that's really, really close. Maybe the more intriguing matchup might be Smithson Valley, New Braunfels, to see which one continues at least through the first 5 weeks, Tep, to be quote-unquote for real.
Yeah, I think that's, we had Glenn Mangle from New Braunfels on our show yesterday, and one of the things that I keep thinking about is, they get that big win over Judson. And in some ways, it kind of reminds me of what Atascocita did, in the sense that they came up here and they came up to DFW and they beat Allen. Then they tried to do the DFW double, right, to go back up there and beat Geyer. They fell short of that. This is in kind of ways that's kind of that same regard of like, okay, you got our attention with the Judson win. If you beat Smithson Valley, then we're really talking about some heady stuff here. Show us a little bit more, and we're willing to really hop on board the bandwagon. But yeah, between that and then Johnson and Brandon, it's a really fun week in the San Antonio area. We're talking. I love it. Yeah, we're talking with Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. All right, Craig, I'm going to do the thing that we love to do to one another. We'll torture one another and make you parachute into a game. I'm going to give you 3 different games, and you got to pick one that you want to go to. The first, you can go to Panola County, and you can watch Gilmer and Carthage go at it. Or you can go to, I guess is Rockwall in Dallas County? I don't know that. Is that
No, it's in Rockwall County.
It's in Rockwall County.
The smallest county in the state of Texas, about the size of a postage stamp.
You can go to Rockwall County to go to Rockwall and Rockwall Heath in what may be the biggest game in Rockwall County history. Or, and I'll throw one more at you, you can go out west, and you can go to Idalou, newly ranked in the rankings, taking on New Deal. Which of those three are you going to pick?
Well, I love the South Plains matchup there of Idalou and New Deal. I do like that. But I will tell you that, as long as you're willing to pack a dinner and some marshmallows and camping equipment, camp out for a while on Rockwall and Heath, because you're going to be there for a while. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It could be a 72-68 final. It certainly wouldn't shock me. It could be the most entertaining game of the week, no doubt.
Oh, 100%. That is a we like both those teams, and so I don't mean this disrespectfully. That may be a defense optional type game. That may be who has the ball last.
I love your terminology. Pointsy.
Very pointsy. He's Craig White. He's the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Joins us every Tuesday here on Texas Football Today, and of course you can hear him on the Horn in Austin every weekday, and then see him on Bally Sports Southwest. He will be in Las Colinas doing High School Scoreboard Live until 1 a.m. and then he's going to call an 11 a.m. kick between Texas Tech and Texas. And aren't you basically living at 11 a.m. for the next month?
Probably, definitely for this week and the following week against TCU, almost a certainty for the following week against Oklahoma. So yeah, you got the 11 a.m. trifecta, I think, coming up for the next 21 days. We'll suck it up and deal with it.
Well, catch up on some sleep beforehand.
As always.
All right. Talk to you later, Craig.
All right, we'll see you.
There he goes. Craig White, the Texas High School Hall of Famer, joins us every Tuesday here on Texas Football Today. And yeah, he's a machine. I'm always so the only time he doesn't do scoreboard is when they have
a road game.
With, and really,
it's only West Virginia.
Two examples. It's either a road game out of state. But even then, if it's like a 6:30 kick at Oklahoma State, he'll do scoreboard.
I was going to say, my favorite story was when he literally left scoreboard and drove overnight to go to Texas Tech, which is typically always an 11 o'clock kick.
Yeah, it's usually an 11 a.m. kick, and so and so those are the ones he'll always do scoreboard, and so. They've got TCU, which obviously is local, so it's not a huge deal. And then he's driving back to Austin on Saturday. That's ridiculous. Anyway, he's a machine.
Him and Step, the cyborgs.
Craig White, the Texas Football Hall of Famer. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.